Hello there and welcome to CNR Extra here on Citi TV, coming to you live from our studios at number 5, Ola Hansen Lane, Tessa, Accra. My name is Philip Ni Latte. Coming up. NPPs parliamentary candidate for Kumawu, Ernest Yaw Anim, secures a landslide victory in just ended by-elections.
And now, by the power vested in me, Paul Ajimai, as the constituency returning officer for Kumawu, I hereby declare you, Ernest, please come over. Ernest Yaw Anim of the NPP as the parliamentary member of parliament elect for Kumawu constituency.
Power restored to St. Anne's Hospital in Dabongo following intervention by the NP of the area, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo, after baby's deaths prompted intervention.
Okay, so yesterday in the night, after all the up and down negotiations with stakeholders and NECO, we were reconnected.
GBC staff threatening industrial action as Fair Wages and Salaries Commission halts allowances.
We want a united, peaceful industrial atmosphere in GBC. And failure to that, we will use all legal means, including strike.
And later on, CNR Extra CSO coalition calls for removal of GNPC CEO and board chairman over controversial Jubilee Holdings sale.
The CSOs campaign is a reminder of the importance of holding government accountable and ensuring that the interests of the people are protected.
CNR Extra is live on CCTV. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comments via WhatsApp line 0204447033. We're also streaming live on YouTube on CityTube. Ni Latte, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Philip, for having me.
How are you doing, my brother?
I'm well. How are you too?
Yes, I'm doing great. Yesterday's elections, that is the by-elections at Kumawu, was a peaceful one. Let's bring you a wrap of what happened in that constituency.
Voters in the Kumawu constituency are taking part in a by-election today, May 23, 2023, to find a replacement for their Member of Parliament, Philip Baswa, who passed on in March. The two main political parties, the governing New Patriotic Party, NPP, and the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, have all put in various efforts seeking to annex the parliamentary seat. Now we've been joined by our Shanta regional correspondent, Hafiz Tijani. Thank you very much. Welcome, Hafiz.
Thank you, Frims.
Right, so bring us up to speed. How has the election been so far?
Well, so the election has been peaceful. The atmosphere of the election has been very peaceful in all the centers we have visited. So at 7 a.m., voters queued at some of the polling stations. We have about 75 polling stations and the Electoral Commission expected over 34,000 voters to turn out for this election. So the process started at 7 a.m. It was very peaceful, and the NDC came with an issue that it detected some signed pink sheets at the Oyoko Methodist Polling Center, and the Electoral Commission had to come in to solve the process. The issue about security was also very high. The police had intensified its patrols and its presence within the communities and also at the various processes where the voting was ongoing. There were issues about some vote buying, alleged vote buying. We've seen some videos that has surfaced. People were being given an amount of 50 Ghana cedis to vote for a particular candidate. We spoke to some of the persons who received the amount, they confirmed that to us. And we've also spoken to some of the agents who were at the various centers where these anomalies were happening, and they had also confirmed that they had same. So the voting process had been smooth, it was peaceful, but some of these issues came up, and the political parties, both the NDC and the NPP, raised several concerns about these issues. The collation is still going on. Like we told you earlier, the electoral materials or the electoral officers are arriving are coming into the collation center from the other centers to submit their results to the Electoral Commission, who are going about with the tallying process and doing the collation and displaying the results for all to see what is being done and who is getting what in terms of votes. Let me speak to Mr. Akogan of the NDC. He is the Deputy Communications Officer of the NDC, to tell us the observation of the party in the election so far and what they are seeing in terms of the figures that are coming in from the various centers. You are welcome to Citi Newsroom.
Thank you.
You have been monitoring the election. How many centers were you able to visit?
Oh, I was stationed at one center, and then though I was following from afar, I was stationed at one center in Kumawu. And so far, I can say that we are happy with the performance. Averagely, the security services did their best. People came out to vote, though some were induced. And for me, my pride is with the delegates who came out to vote for the NDC. I am really proud of myself. Yeah.
Why are you proud that people have voted for the NDC? You wanted people to vote for you?
Yes, because coming into these elections, some people felt that this is a stronghold of the NPP, and in such by-elections, we shouldn't waste resources and all that, because if you look at the performance of the independent candidates too during the 2020 elections, people said that the race was going to be between the MPP and the independent candidate, and that was what was making the rounds. But we decided that we have to justify why things went wrong the last time. And in fact, looking at the results that we are getting, I think that we have really done so well.
Thank you, my director. Thank you, my able assistants, my district officers, and all of you present here. God has been so good to us. As my director said, this election has been incident-free, transparent, free, and fair. 4 candidates contested for the Kumawu by-elections, which was held today, 23rd May 2023. And here are the results. Ernest Yaw Anim, representing the NPP, obtained a total of 15,264 votes. Akwasi Amankwa of the NDC polled 3,723. Kwakudria, number 3, obtained 2,478 votes. Kwakudria, number 4, obtained 62 votes. Total valid votes cast stood at 21,527. 21,527. Total rejected ballots, 204. Total rejected ballots, 204. Total vote cast, 21,728. 731. 21,721. 731, sorry. And now, by the power vested in me, Paul Ajimai, as the constituency returning officer for Kumawu, I hereby declare you, Ernest, please come over. Ernest Yaw Anim of the NPP as the parliamentary member of parliament elect for Kumawu constituency. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless us all.
How do you seek to position the MPP, the Kumawu constituency in parliament?
Already this was our seat, and we have been able to retain it. So now we all know the issue with Ascent North. Now MPP, we are in a better position than the opposition party. So for now, we have cushioned ourselves, and we are in a better position to implement the policies that His Excellency the President wants the party to implement in Parliament. Yeah.
You spoke about the roads being constructed, and you promised your people that the MPP is doing this to uplift the constituency.
Yes.
Now the election is done.
Yes.
What do you tell the constituency? Will you continue this project?
I have said countless times that this project was already in the pipeline. The late Member of Parliament for Kumawu, Honorable Philip Basua, had met the Council of Local Churches back in January 22nd, and he had promised that the roads were going to start by the end of April. Fortunately for us, the contractor came on site on the 15th of April, and construction started. I have promised the people of Kumawu that the contractor is going to be with us for the next 14 months. He is going to make sure that every road that is in the pipeline from Efijase all the way to Raso is constructed. He's going to work on the Kumawu town roads, which includes Abotanso, Pepiase, and all the surrounding towns within Kumawu. So for us, we know we have said and we are going to deliver. This is not a lie. This is not to win the seat. This is something that the party was committed to doing and the government was committed to doing. We have told you, MPP, when we say we do. So for me, it is not a lie. We are here to stay, and the machines are going to be on our roads for the next 14 months, and the people of Ghana will see the good things will deliver to Kumawu.
What other things should we expect from Ernest Yaw Anim, apart from these you have mentioned?
Aside the roads, we have promised a number of things. Just last week, the education minister was here. He promised the construction of a 6-unit classroom block at Oyoko. We have already started another 6-unit class block at Setre. We have constructed 10 boreholes within the last 3 weeks, and we are going to continue to do more in the education sector. We are going to do more in agriculture. We are going to help with the unemployment situation we have in the constituency. There are several other things that we intend doing for our people, and I believe that the people of Kumawu are going to see progress forward. That is what I can guarantee for now. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the parliamentary parliament elect for the Kumawu constituency. As far as this by-election is concerned, Yaw Ernest Yaw Anim, he has been talking about his vision for the constituency, and he has been reiterating the fact that the MPP is going to complete the whole project that has been started for today, that is the by-election, and he has spoken about what he is going to do with the party to improve or enhance the education sector within the constituency, and he has also touched about the health sector, where he says that the MPP is going to work to complete the Kumawu government hospital. So all said and done, the Kumawu by-election has come to an end. The Electoral Commission has declared a winner for this by-election. We have not seen any contest of the results after the Electoral Commission has declared the New Patriotic Party has been declared as the Member of Parliament for the Kumawu constituency in this by-election.
So the by-elections went on well. It was very peaceful. The president of the land, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has come out to congratulate the parties in the elections, the NPP, the NDC, because the exercise went on peacefully. Prior to that, the Peace Council has said that, well, let's do this peacefully. The EC gave their word that they are going to ensure that it's going to be transparent, fair, and free. Also, the IGP, that is the Ghana Police Service, also took center stage, indicating that every person involved in the elections should comport him or herself. And that is exactly what we saw at Kumawu yesterday.
Very well, Philip. Exactly so. You've just summarized, the whole conduct of the polls, because it was a much anticipated one. And for me, I would say that perhaps we've learned lessons from, the Ayawaso West Wogan by-election, because this was incident-free. But talk of the elections proper, even before that, let's commend both parties for conducting themselves in a very, peaceful manner. And so now talking about the election itself, well, the NPP has won. One may argue that it was because they are enjoying incumbency, because if you look at the trends, as we were talking yesterday, it has always been a safe seat for, the NPP. And for me, the most worrying trend in this particular election, I would say, is the results. Because we were expecting, the NPP to, widen the margin, if you want to put it that way. But if you look, they just added about 300 votes from what they polled last year. That's 2020, in the 2020 election. Also, very interesting to know that the independent candidate, Kukudia, the first, if you want to say that way, has actually lost a huge, a chunk of the votes.
From some 11,000
from some 11,000 to 3,000. That's about
2,000.
2,000. If you do the subtraction, that's about some 9,000 votes gone down the drain. You'll be asking yourself what really is the issue. But for the NPP, one will say that, well, it's a safe seat. Voter rationality has always been biased because, well, when it comes to some of these areas, the performance of government, the state of the economy really do not count. It's not as if it's a smooth area.
But the NDC also sees this as a victory, because according to what Akogan said, they've increased the votes by some thousand. From the 2020 elections.
Well, from their end, they can say so. But they didn't win the polls in general. So I don't feel that impact. Well, you've increased from some 2,000 to 3,000, about 1,000 vote difference. Well, it will put across a positive signal
because
for you
they were saying that
party.
It was made known that the elections is between the NPP and the independent candidates, Kwekudia Senior.
And so perhaps it's because of the personalities involved. You know that in Kumawu, for example, the dynamics always change with regards to, who the NDC actually comes with or failed in that particular election. And so maybe that is what is accounting for, this slight margin that they've been able to gather. But this should also send, strong indications to the NPP that it appears all may not be well, because if you say that you've really tried to convince voters, especially because of the kind of resources, the strategies they deployed ahead of the polls, one will expect that this particular election would have been won hands down, quote unquote, but 70% as against
but the turnout was also very poor, because it's expected that some 36,000 or probably some 34,000 will come on the grounds and vote. But at the end of the day, we had close to 22,000.
Which is less than half of the figure. So it tells you the level of voter apathy, even ahead of the 2024 elections. And this is a stronghold, a traditional seat for the NPP, where you expect that a lot more of their members will come out and vote. But to see this particular number coming out to vote, reducing, the vote and all that, it really brings into question a lot of, questions on the preparedness of, voters ahead of the 2024 election. So, well, all well and good, the NPP has won. It has to do with, Kumawu yesterday. We are really looking forward to what happens in Asin North when the Electoral Commission set a date for that particular by-election.
Rightly so. So we'll be hoping that also in Asin North will be a peaceful one. Let's move away from the elections and let's bring you what happened in Damongo, specifically St. Anne's Hospital, where light or power has been restored to the facility.
Let's go to the Savannah region, where power was last night restored to the St. Anne's Hospital in Damongo following the intervention of the Member of Parliament for the area, Samuel Abdullahi Janapo. Now, power was cut to the facility by NEDCO due to an over 4 million cedi debt following Citi News report on the death of 2 babies at the hospital over the power cut. The MP for the area made some payments to ensure the facility is reconnected. Citi News' regional correspondent Richard Fogo reports.
The St. Anne's Hospital in Damongo in the Savannah region has had its power restored after an intervention from Samuel Abla Jinapo, the Member of Parliament for the area. The hospital had its power cut by the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NETCO, due to a debt of more than 4 million Ghana cedis. Following a report by Citi News on May 22, 2023, about the death of 2 babies and 3 others who were in critical condition due to the power cut, Mr. Jinapo, who is also the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, made payments to NETCO to ensure the hospital is reconnected and fully operational. When Citi News visited the hospital on Tuesday, the ANC was nearly full, while the OPD and laboratories that were locked up fully operational. Dr. Gwadese Ahmed, Head of Communications and Clinical Coordinator of the hospital, told Citi News management is considering measures that will ensure the facility is not disconnected again.
Okay, so yesterday in the night, after all the up and down negotiations with stakeholders and NETCO, we were reconnected. So as I speak to you now, business has resumed seriously. So every sector of the hospital is working very well. We got in touch with some stakeholders. We had a conversation with Honorable Abu Jinapo. So he sent some amount of money through the regional minister, and some deposit was done. And that was why they came and reconnected us. Okay, so now there are 2 options. Either we still let it be the responsibility of Ministry of Health, and that by extension, that's the government, or we find a way to pay it. So it means that will be factored into the fees of the patient. So that's another alternative. But as I speak now, we haven't decided yet which of them to pursue.
Dr. Ahmed also appealed to the general public to donate blood to restock the hospital's blood bank.
So my message to our clients, our prospective clients, is that we have been reconnected. There is power, and every sector of the hospital is running smoothly. As I speak to you right now, in the next 10 minutes, I'll be entering the theater to do a cesarean session for the patient. So they can come. They can come. They are working fully. So my message to the general public with respect to our blood bank is that we have run out of blood as we speak. So we are encouraging people, regular donors, to come and help us get some blood. And those other people who have never donated, they can come on board and then help us at least get more units at the blood bank. Because as we speak, we've run out of blood.
Power was last night restored to the St. Anne's Hospital here in Damongo following the intervention of the Member of Parliament for the area, Samuel Abdullah Jinapo. Authorities say he has made an undisclosed amount of money available to settle part of the debt owed NETCO. Authorities are calling on the public to donate blood to the blood bank, whose blood stored there went bad when power was cut. Meanwhile, negotiations are still ongoing to ensure the facility is not redisconnected again. For Citi News, I am Richard Fogo, reporting from Damongo.
That is a great gesture or intervention by the Member of Parliament for Damongo and also Lands and Natural Resources Minister. But Nila, the question is, should we have waited for the 2 babies to die before this intervention?
Not at all. Philip, it's because of how we handle some of the situations we have on our hand as a country. Why am I saying this? Because we are often fond of, being reactionary when it comes to dealing with challenges, either for us to, deal with the situation before it gets worse. We wait for the worst or unexpected to happen before we try to take some actions. I'm not putting the blame squarely on the member of parliament.
Not at all.
That he waited for the babies to die before moving. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to explain in broad terms how we handle some of these things as a country. Because, well, the hospital complained about the disconnection exercise. It's been about 1 week, 2 weeks. No action was taken. It had to take the intervention of the MP. His gesture we want to commend for the hospital to be put back on the national grid.
Agreed, yeah.
And this is a government hospital, for which reason we expect government to be honoring some of its, financial obligations to these facilities. But even as we push for that, the situation has not been solved wholly. We hear from the hospital authorities that more needs to be done.
And that is what the hospital authority is saying, that they are either going to consider that the Ministry of Health should take up this responsibility, that is government by extension, or the patients who come to the facility should be billed with this debt.
Well, in a country where we talk about, out-of-pocket payment and how difficult it is for many people, especially in the rural areas, and a country that is suffering or having challenges with, its health insurance regime, which is expected to cushion patients, you would expect that, well, hospitals must be equipped to, prioritize internally generated funds, how to raise revenue internally to handle some of these things. Not only about raising the revenue, but how to properly manage some of these things going forward. Because when we talk about neonatal mortality, we are expecting that it should be natural causes, risk factors. But it shouldn't be artificial factors like this. Power cuts to the hospital leading to the death of, neonates or children or even infants or newborns. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be part of the conversation at all if we want to look at the health system in general. Our health system should be resilient by now to be able to withstand some of these shocks. While we are this, are we also saying that, well, hospitals must also come in and ensure that some of these things are addressed at the hospital level? Sometimes I always say that sometimes you have to find, community, solutions to our problems and then try and solve some of these things. But if you have to wait for government all the time, although it is the responsibility of government, but in a situation where we realize that government for time without number will shirk its responsibility in one way or the other, some of these interventions will really help and come in handy. So for me, this particular issue, this is not the first time we've realized that, hospitals have been cut off. They've been disconnected because they are in debt. They are owing, power distribution companies and all that. And most of the times, these things usually lead to, unexpected instances. If it's not death, people will be in critical condition.
Such as this.
Doctors are unable to conduct surgeries and all that. And so I think it's a holistic, conversation that we need to have. Granted, the MP, you may want to read meanings into it that, well, it's because of political expediency and all that. Fair enough. But it is one step towards solving the whole problem. The conversation now must be how we are going to tackle it head on and ensure that some of these things do not repeat. So I'm expecting, stakeholders in the health sector to come up with, strategies, really sound ones, of course, to ensure that some of these things are dealt with, because children should not be losing their lives. Parents should not be losing their children just because power was disconnected to a particular health facility. When we can ensure that there is, for example, a standby generator and all that, solar panels, some of these things, like the health system should be addressing some of these things, not in the short term, but in the medium to long term.
And now that this has been addressed halfway, well, the various authorities shouldn't go sleeping, but should ensure that it's addressed fully so that we wouldn't be recording incidences like this at public hospitals or public health facilities. You are still watching CNR Extra here on Citi TV, still to come. GBC staff threatening industrial action as Fair Wages and Salaries Commission halts allowances. Kindly stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.
whiz kid that collects straight A's in your sleep, a brainy brains that aces quizzes without even trying, or a clever clogs that knows just about everything, then there's one more battle you have to win: the Literacy Challenge. The nationwide search for the best junior high student is on. Think it could be you going home with 10,000 Ghana cedis and a glitzy trophy? Then, in not less than 600 words, write a story that ends with the following statement: the happiest people do not have the best of everything, they make the best of everything they have. Stories should be written in your own handwriting with the deadline of Saturday, the 15th of July 2023 in mind. Submissions must include an endorsement by a parent or guardian and their full contact details. And once you're done, shoot off your entries to the front desk of Citi TV or Citi FM. Or you can send entries to PO Box GP 14123 Accra Central. For more inquiries, call 0558 973 973. The Literacy Challenge 2023 is powered by Citi TV and supported by Citi FM.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra on CCTV. My name is Philip Nilati. I'm here with Ni Lati. You can join us via WhatsApp line 02044470033. Let's bring you some more stories. And GBC staff are not excited about some allowances that have been taken off by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. They are threatening industrial action. Let's bring you more in this insert.
Unionized staff of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, have threatened to embark on a series of industrial actions if the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission does not reinstate their allowances. Now, this comes after the Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, Engineer Benjamin Arthur, in a letter to the Controller and Accountant General, directed that the allowances being enjoyed by some staff of the media house over the past years be stopped. There is more in the following report filed by Citi News' Rachel Enkman and read by Kweku Ejama Ansa.
The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission has begun a nationwide payroll monitoring exercise with Internal Audit Agency, which is in line with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission Act 2007, Act 737, to develop and monitor allowances and benefits as well as to coordinate, manage and monitor collective bargaining processes in which government is the direct or indirect employer. In the course of the exercise, the Commission claimed that some staff of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, are currently receiving allowances to which they are not entitled to. These allowances include utility, rent, housing, vehicle maintenance, and transportation, amongst others. Due to these new arrangements, some GBC staff will experience a 33% reduction in their current salaries. This development has caused dissatisfaction among employees who believe their hard work is not being adequately recognized and rewarded. Unionized staff debunked claims of employees receiving an 82% increment in allowances as claimed by the CEO of the Commission, and also called for his dismissal. Speaking at a press conference on Tuesday, the Divisional Union Chairman of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Samuel Nat Kevo, who questioned how the Chief Executive Officer of the Commission came to the unilateral conclusion that workers are not entitled to the allowances, lamented that the cut will affect their survival.
The Fair Wages and Salary Commission has gotten it wrong. The Fair Wages and Salary Commission has gotten it wrong. Granted that it has a concern about those allowances, the labor law says since bargaining certificate is for the organized labor, it has to come back to the drawing board for renegotiation or reversal. Until then, you cannot unilaterally and illegally cancel those allowances.
Therefore, ASA must go.
Yes. In conclusion, we are asking that the fair wages and that for matter appointing authority to help him reverse the decision. We want a united, peaceful, industrial atmosphere in GBC. And failure to that, we will use all legal means, including strike. The rest is extractive. You will not communicate. We are by this notice serving the appointing authority and our management that if we receive May salary and these are not reflected, GBC workers will do the needful.
Samuel Nat Kevo charged the management of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to rescind its decision to strike out some allowances, else failure to do so will result in a series of industrial action and other legal measures.
We want to put on record that in our disposal, no GBC labourer is enjoying special computer allowance. We must emphasize on that. No labourer in GBC is enjoying special computer allowances. No GBC labourer has 3 domestic cooks. No GBC staff enjoy 82% allowance, being increased the newly negotiated allowances expected to be effective at the end of this month. The said allowances are the core specific institution allowances that have been negotiated. Where the CEO of Fair Wages and Salary Commission got the 82% increase from can only be further explained by him. The foundation of our denial of these falsehoods is captured in this month's salary validation, currently ongoing in GBC since Friday 19th of this month. The validation of salary comes from the Controller and Accountant General departments to entities whose workers are being paid from the consolidated fund to validate and return it to Controller General Department before being paid their monthly salaries. Our careful checks show that no GBC labourer is enjoying any of the above mentioned allowances being claimed by Mr. Atta. For the records, the last time GBC workers had their allowances negotiated was in 2017. But since then, the base pay has been appreciable increases, including the 4% and 7% in 2020 and 2021. However, the increase in the base pay since 2017 never resulted in an increase in allowances. Mind you, our allowances are ad valorem, meaning your allowance is based on your monthly basic salaries. But since we have negotiated the last time in 2017, that amount on the 2017 basic has remained the same.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Information has met the leadership of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, as part of efforts to resolve the emerging issues on the payroll money.
So the staff of GBC, they have made their point known. And also the update on the story is that management of GBC has commenced engagement with Fair Wages and Salaries Commission over the allowances that have caused the agitation amongst its staff. But the commission has indicated that some of the staff of GBC are receiving allowances that are not entitled to them, including rent, housing, utility, vehicle maintenance, and transportation allowances. Interesting allowances.
Very, very interesting.
Allowances.
Very, very interesting. And if you ask me, I was expecting the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission first off to dialogue with, these aggrieved, staff members of GBC, because your own inefficiency has resulted in, the anomalies you are talking about, leading to the payment of, unearned salaries. And so at a time, workers will always push for better conditions of service, because the ordinary Ghanaian worker does not want any decision that will make him or her worse off, especially because of the rising cost of living and also the economic situation that we have on our hands now. Be as it may, you say the allowances are unearned, they don't deserve it. Fair enough. But to just stop it without any form of engagement with them will really have...
So these staff from GBC would prefer that there should be some form
exactly
of
the point they are making.
Exactly
the point they are making. That's why the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, for example, will be met with this particular level of resistance. Well, you meet these, irate workers, you tell them that we've rectified some issues with the payroll system. We've realized that you don't deserve this particular allowance. What is the way forward? What do you also propose on the table? You've earned that. And for me, it's shocking that the commission expects, the workers to refund this particular payment, which is in excess of 2 million Ghana cedis. The question I ask myself, where are they going to get it from? Something that they've already spent. And so I think both parties should not allow this to escalate. Both parties should try and talk things through, resolve this particular issue. They are threatening to use legal means. Maybe we do not want to get there. But to say that because they don't deserve it, you just go ahead and then stop paying the allowances, it will be very difficult for them to, come to terms with it initially. And for me, it is only proper communication, proper engagement that will enable us to find truth in this particular, because the approach is quite problematic. And if you listen to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, for example, you realize that they say that there are discrepancies in the payment. There are people on the same level. One party is receiving, the other it's not. And so there are genuine concerns in there. But how you handle it is what shows that shows that, well, we are ready to, solve this particular issue once and for all. But if you say it's an end, they don't deserve it, that's fair because of your own monitoring that you are saying. But you should also put yourself in the shoes of the ordinary, worker at GBC. Look at the kind of workers that we are talking about. These are the people who need some of these allowances to cushion themselves day in, day out, have family members that they are, taking care of and all that. So a decision that will be harsh on them will be very problematic. And so we are just looking forward to that engagement between the two parties. But the refund, I'm wondering if it's going to happen.
What we understand here is some form of engagement has commenced, and we hope that there will be an amicable solution to this problem. But away from one issue to another, CSOs Coalition, they are calling for the removal of GNPC CEO and board chairman over controversial Jubilee Holdings sale. Let's bring you that insight.
The coalition of CSOs in extractive governance is demanding for the immediate removal of GNPC CEO Opoku Ahene-Dankwa and board chairman Freddie Blay. The demand for their removal comes in light of GNPC's intention to sell 50% stakes in Jubilee Holdings Limited to Petro SA, despite the substantial revenue potential this interest holds for the state. There is more in the following report.
The CSOs, made up of the African Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, and 26 others, say the CEO of GNPC, Opoku Ahene-Dankwa, and the board chairman, Freddie Blay, have become a threat to Ghana's interest in the petroleum sector. The demand for their removal comes in the light of GNPC's intention to sell 50% stakes in Jubilee Holdings Limited to Petro SA, despite the substantial revenue potential this interest holds for the state. They explain that the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, is against the decision by the board chairman of GNPC, Mr. Blay, for offering interest in Ghana's oil fields to a South African oil company, Petroleum Oil and Gas Corporation of South Africa. Coordinator for the coalition, Abdul Karim Mohammed, has been throwing more light at a press conference on Tuesday.
We demand the immediate removal of GNPC CEO Opoku Ahene-Dankwa and the board chairman Freddie W. Blay from their respective positions, as they have become a threat to Ghana's interest in the petroleum sector. 6. Additionally, we demand the immediate transfer of JOHL and all its assets from Cayman Island and other jurisdictions to GNPC. 7. We demand immediate disclosure of the Ake plan of development from the Petroleum Commission and the government. To conclude, we firmly believe that a country micromanaged by the IMF cannot be seen to engage in fiscal recklessness that undermines its recovery.
The group also demanded swift political action to address two major developments in the country's petroleum sector.
The controversies around ACE are far from over. The sale of ACE's interest to AFC and the subsequent submission of the plan of development to the government has raised more questions. One, even though ACE has sold their interest in Ghana, they are scheming to stay on the Pecan development through surrogates and Ghanaian collaborators across segments of our society to amass ridiculous benefits from the Pecan field development. ACE Energy purchased an FPSO for...
So on this controversial Jubilee Holdings sales, well, the board chair of GNPC and former NPP chairman, that is Freddie Blay, has brushed aside the accusations and demands by some 29 civil society organizations calling for his resignation. He spoke to Umaru Sanda on Eyewitness yesterday, and he insisted that he has a clear conscience regarding the sale of the shares and will only resign if the president who appointed him no longer wants him to work with
and he even
him.
added that a deal has actually not been brokered, and so it's just discussions that he, as board chair of GNPC, is having with the South African oil firm, that's Petro SA. And so for me, my issue here is that we are just hoping that the information and document will be available so that we know exactly what the intended deal is about, because it appears we don't have, the full facts. So it becomes very difficult for us to ascertain the veracity or otherwise of what, the issue exactly is. But for 29 CSOs to come out to say that what they've gathered really poses a risk to, the oil sector in the country, and so demanding the removal of, the GNPC board chair and also the chief executive of the company. I don't know if the removal is what is the panacea to this particular. So we expect, both parties, that the GNPC and also the Ministry of Energy. We've seen the letter from, the energy minister, that's Dr. Matthew Poku, chronicling why he feels that the decision by the GNPC board chair is actually inimical to the country. So let's see how, this particular development unfolds.
Rightly so. And the Electricity Company of Ghana revenue mobilization team hasn't sleeping at all. Yesterday, they were at Adregano and also a place called Kekeli Plaza, where they undertook their actions there. Let's bring you that insight.
A significant development has taken place as two facility managers from Kekeli Plaza in Adregano have been apprehended by the police for their alleged involvement in unauthorized power connections. This arrest is part of the ongoing efforts by the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, to combat illegal power connections. Our correspondent Fred Duho brings us the details in the following report.
In a major crackdown, the National Security, in collaboration with the Electricity Company of Ghana, have apprehended two individuals for repeatedly restoring power illicitly after disconnection by ECG officials. The suspects, who are currently in police custody, were caught at Kekeli Plaza at Adregano, located in the Ayawaso West municipality. The ECG has identified a recurring pattern where those individuals, upon being disconnected due to unpaid bills, take matters into their own hands and unlawfully reconnect their establishments without seeking authorization from the ECG. This unauthorized reconnection has been observed on multiple occasions.
These people are noted for notoriously reconnecting their power anytime the ECG task force come to disconnect them for illegal connection and owing debt. So basically the officials from the ECG came in the company of the police to effect an arrest and to take them through the prosecutorial process for them to face the full rigors of the law.
Following the operation at Kekeli Plaza, the team proceeded to East Legon Hills, where they discovered a residential property that had been disconnected for engaging in illegal power connections.
This is our line 1. The figures here are reflecting what is on the meter. That is 2.23. Line 2, which was 00, is the same as 00. And line 3, now you are seeing 25 amps. That's your consumption now. And this is the bypass which is going on here. So now you understand what we mean.
That was supposed to be the 0.5.
This is supposed to pass through the meter, then you pay for it. So whatever you are consuming or whatever you've consumed over the months or years, you've not paid for.
Now they are going to proceed to take them off entirely from the national grid, and they are hoping that they would lock it with a seal, and then subsequently, when the illegality is corrected, the task force will proceed to come and reconnect them. But in the meantime, they've been surcharged and they've been served notice, and on this notice, all the appliances or gadgets that are being used within the premises have been listed, and they would be surcharged accordingly. What has been established by the task force here is that the meter has been disconnected. As you can see in your shot, those black cables have been taken off, and the place is supposed to go off. But now let's observe something. Instead of the facility or this particular apartment going off, we can still feel the AC or the air condition working, and it's blowing. And that is obvious illegal connection the task force has come to discover within the East Legon Hills. And this is one thing they believe is quite common in the residential apartments all around. My name is Fred Duo reporting.
Interesting one there. The ECG mobilization team, as I said earlier,
is
isn't sleeping. Well, the team is set to commence another exercise from Monday, 29th May, to Friday, 2nd June 2023. This, I think, is going to be similar to what happened for the entire 1 month that the company embarked on that exercise.
Yeah, for me, Philip, I've always been maintaining that we should add prosecution to this whole thing, because if the person is arrested for power theft and then the person is just allowed to pay, which is actually good, which helps the ECG to, rake in some revenue, and the person is just allowed to go, it doesn't really encourage, tougher punishment. I believe that things must be done to ensure that people are actually discouraged from, these illegal activities, because there's a utility service provider continues to lose out in terms of revenue, and as a state agency is expected to also, raise some revenue in order to go about its daily activities. And people should also pay for the power that they use. If you use the car, I mean, it's quite problematic for the ECG to be going around each and every day, and then trying to, get perpetrators of, some of these illegal or criminal activities.
And ECG has also been able to choke properly and give information of some bypassing or illegal connection.
That's actually good. But if you choke, it's likely that you will be found out, and then...
Are you sure? They have to protect the whistleblower.
Exactly. So maybe we should be pushing for the Whistleblowing Act to ensure that some of these things...
Anyway, you're still watching CNR Extra here on Citi TV. Still to come. The NDC in the Upper West region issues 2 weeks ultimatum to the government to ensure that all senior high schools in the region are supplied with adequate food items. Stay with us. We'll be back with that story.
And just as was anticipated, day 4 has been long. But finally, we are at the Red Clay Studios. Exhausted, but excited. Because at 9 p.m., the night is still very young. We had quite the experience at the Red Clay Studios. With drummer and dance, with color and class, patrons were treated to reenactments of various folklore of the northern region. And the caravanites would simply not be left out of the fun. Catch the ending part of day 4 of the Heritage Caravan Diaries as it happened at the Red Clay Studios every weekday on Citi TV.
You're welcome back. Let's take you to the Upper West region, where the NDC there is asking government to provide senior high schools with the needed resources.
The main opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, in the Upper West region has issued a 2-week ultimatum to the government to ensure that all senior high schools in the region are supplied with adequate food items. The party is alleging that almost all senior high schools in the region are operating without adequate food supplies, compelling students to go without food for some days now. The NDC is threatening a series of actions if the situation is not immediately addressed. Citi News' Latif Mahama has more in this report.
Addressing the media on Tuesday, the Upper West Regional Communications Officer of the Opposition National Democratic Congress opined that nearly 6 years after the implementation of the free senior high school program, most senior high schools in the Upper West region are on the verge of collapse due to the government's inability to honor its financial obligations to them. The communications officer explained that the situation compelled his outfit to conduct a research on the welfare of the students in the various senior high schools in the region, and it came out that not even a single senior high school is providing the required quantity and quality of food, with majority of them currently running without providing food to the students.
Schools are currently starved of the needed funds and resources to keep the schools running, especially for feeding of students in the boarding houses, while school administrators are also not spared of the starvation of resources and funds to run smoothly. This has resulted in a pathetic situation of feeding students with very unreasonable quantities of equally poor and continuously depreciating.
So the Upper West region, NDC, is asking that at least government should provide the senior high school there, the students in those schools, they have to get quality food items or quality food in the various schools so that they can survive well.
Well, government will tell you that food is in abundance.
Yes.
So they
in recent times, there was an issue like that of food shortage in the various senior high schools, where we had the education minister go around in some of the schools, sat down in the dining halls or I ate with some of the students and came out to say that, well, the shortage of food items that we are complaining of isn't like that.
And sometimes you leave the conversation to the politicians to tell us exactly what the situation is, when in fact school heads can actually tell us the real reasons on the ground, but for fear of victimization, and also some of the issues regarding some of these things in the education space, you realize that they would not want to come forward and then put
some of them are scared to be transferred.
Yes, so it's all about NDC in opposition saying that there is no food. NPP comes and say that, well, there is food, issue a statement, National Food Buffer Stock Company, free
and this brings to what the IMF came out with, the IMF report on the poor targeting
that
of
the free senior high school is actually poorly targeted, and it's one of government policies that is insisting that it's not going to review it regardless of the challenges bedeviling the implementation.
Let's see how government pays attention to the demands of the NDC in the Upper West region. Well, this is how we end today's edition of CNR Extra here on Citi TV. My name is Philip Nilati. I did this with Lati. Many thanks for your time and keep watching Citi TV.